All right, good morning. Kind of working through some forced attrition here today, and meaning the issues I was having with the Zoia. I guess the short answer is it's back, but I'll talk about why. Because it kind of forced me to go through everything here and figure out where I was having an issue, and we'll get there. So I might as well just do a friggin' run through here since I made a couple. I don't know if it sounds significantly different, but the layout, the signal path is significantly different. So as I've talked about more than I want to about this Warm Audio Pedal 76, I love it. It does that 1176 thing, which is imparts this liveliness to the signal, not just necessarily compressed. So right now we're just hearing pretty much nothing other than the bus compressor and then my back end effects. And the only thing I took out of the back end effects was the saturation knob. Decided I didn't need it, and who knows, maybe it'll come back. And then this is my PRS SE Paul's guitar. Both pickups on the split setting. Alright, so let's add in the pedal 76. It just adds that nice musical liveliness. And so the issue I was having with it was all that crazy noise. Now, knock on wood, I haven't had it. And I mentioned it in one of my other videos. I had a BBE Sonic Stomp Pro, which I love the Sonic Maximizer. I was kind of bummed to hear about BBE going out because the Barkus Berry stuff, specifically the Sonic Maximizer, is one of my favorite effects ever. Now the reason why it's not on my board and I sold it is because it didn't play well with some of my other digital pedals. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking the Warm Audio, maybe that's what was happening. It wasn't playing with one of the pedals I had on here. Now, notice, no noise. So whatever I had on here, the couple times I was having those noise issues, it still might be some communication thing between my phone and my Mac. But right now it's working fine, and I love it. And yes, it works very nicely in front of the sun face. I'm going to skip the sun face for the moment though, because the other always on pedal I have is the Mustang GT. So just adding a little harmonic saturation, a little more crispness, maybe bring a little bit of the EQ back that maybe the pedal 76 removes. Oh, that's the other thing you're hearing. So I don't have it assigned to a foot switch on here, but I have the what do they call the tape? You know, the lo-fi thing on the HX effects. I'll think of it at some point. Okay. The only gain I really want or need is this thing. Rolls off nice. Don't have my other effects on yet, so it doesn't exactly sound how I typically use it, but that's bridge pickup right there, by the way. And then back to both. Okay. So the first of the changes is this trio is a little difficult to work with in my signal chain, because once it comes back out of the reactive load box, I want and need it to go into the Cortex because that's my IR, and I want to come out of the Cortex in stereo. The trio is not stereo. So what I ended up doing here is the trio, so the Mustang's going into the trio and then the trio into the amp. Now the trio splits. The other end is going over to the mixer, which I have not set up yet. So let's just get a little just do something in E here. let's see if I can get a signal. Okay, getting a little gassy here. So just a quick note on what I'm doing here in the SSL. So going directly out of the trio into the SSL channel 1. I'm using the super analog preamp a little bit. I added a little bit, just a touch of compression. The peaks are just catching the compressor a little bit. But I engaged the EQ. Now the reason why I like, especially the EQ on this thing, the SSL 6, is the bell curves on it are real nice because they're not too narrow, but when you engage the bell curves on the low and the high end, it's a 2-band EQ. You can kind of, through those bells, give the drums and the bass its own space in the mix. Because I have so much going on here, it's kind of a dense thing I'm doing with my guitar, I can really give the drums and the bass its own little spot in there. So that's what we have going on there. I'm gonna do one more thing before we move on in the signal chain here. Is I'm just gonna get a little guitar loop in there so I can use that as an example. Alright, trying too hard to be a little fancy there. All I needed to do is just record a chord. So, oh, this windscreen drives me nuts. Okay, so there we go. So compression, fuzz, gain / preamp, trio, one side out to the amp, back into the Cortex, or through the load box. The other side of the trio is going directly into the SSL6. This is the first time I've listened through it like this. I just hooked it up like this, but so far so good. Signals look good. Turn that up a little bit. Nice and gassy sounding. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing that the Cortex hits when the guitar comes through is the platform. So we're using the compression with a soft knee, as well as a little bit of saturation from the gain side. And that's really where I'm getting a little more of the sustain. So I'm getting the liveliness out of the out of the pedal 76, and I'm getting some of the more. It's still a dynamic effect, but you get more of that graphic effect out of the platform. I really love this platform pedal. Again, I've said this before, is I tend to prefer keeping the signal analog before the amp, but the signal does have to go digital at some point. So I try and keep it analog all the way through the amp, and then by the time it gets to the IR, it's turning digital. So the fact that this is a digital compressor actually is a good thing, because you still have that digital realm has a much wider dynamic range than the analog realm. So this thing works nice at this point in the signal chain, because with that digital realm, you're going to have a lesser noise floor. So it's just worked out really nice. I'm super impressed with this. And we haven't moved on past we haven't gotten into the HX effects yet. So we're coming out of the platform in stereo into the HX effects, okay? Now before, let me look at where I'm at here on this. Yeah, so we've got the expression, the synth, the 6-button looper, and then you've got the retro reel. There we go, I finally remembered it. And then it goes to the effects loop. Okay, so there's a couple things going on before the effects loop. And the synth I've played before. The synth is pretty cool. Oops, hang on. Let me turn that off. I don't play it like that. I use it for setting up my sound on sound loops, but it's a cool little synth. You definitely don't want to try and play chords or anything with it, though. Well, I don't know, maybe you get some weird ass stuff going on with it like that, if you like that kind of thing. Okay, so the 6-switch looper is something I'll use if I need to. It's easy to cut stuff in half, so if I want to do a sub-octave loop, I can do that. And then the retro reel is, again, just that kind of, just has a nice little kind of vintagey feel. Okay, so let's move on to the effects loop, which brings us to the Zoia. Now, I spent almost all day yesterday at work and on break thinking about what might have caused the Zoia to do what it did, which was stop passing signal. And I couldn't think of a reason why. A few years ago, I did have to replace the keypad, and let me tell you, Empress is one of the best companies to work with. I mean, I just loosely inquired about it, and they're like, "Oh no, we've seen that happen before. You can mail it to us, and we'll replace it, or we can send you the keypad." It didn't cost me a penny. They were really great to work with. The support video they sent with how to take this apart and replace the keyboard was amazing. That's why I love this thing so much. It's a great company, and it's a pedal that it's the Devo of pedals. It's 30, 40, 50 years ahead of its time. But having said that, that's the only thing I've done that I thought might have negatively impacted it, how long it lasts. Me, the amateur, took it apart and put it back together. I know one of the clasps for one of the ribbon cables in there had a crack in it, so I don't know if somebody else might have had it apart at one point. Every once in a while I'm wondering if that ribbon cable's ever going to pop out of there, but I'm very careful with it because of that. So when I got home, I even spent my break yesterday shopping for other pedals that might replace it, or even another Zoia, see if I can find a good deal on another Zoia. But I just wanted this one. So I got home. I worked late last night, but I stayed up late. And going through everything here, I found out it wasn't the Zoia that stopped passing signal. Because the sound on sound loop, if the sequencers changed those loopers into a lower octave, it was getting too thick. It was getting too muddy. So I had added a high end and low end EQ on the HX effects, and for whatever reason, that was what was blowing up the EQ module in the HX effects. So it wasn't the Zoia at all. It was the EQ and HX effects couldn't handle the signal for some reason. So then I went through everything. I'm currently running pretty much everything that I can at line level, and I had the Zoia running at negative 12 dB, whereas in the past most of the time I had it at negative 6 dB, and yeah, so I've got it back at negative 12. So it was surprising to me that it was blowing up the EQ in there, but in any case, so what I did in the Zoia, and let's stop our little gassy background here, because I'll set up a little loop. In fact, let's do that now. Okay, so since the EQ obviously wasn't working, and I tried a couple of the EQs in here, for whatever reason, they do not cooperate with the output of my effects loop here. So, forget the EQ. Another weird thing with the HX effects, by the way, is if I put the IR at the beginning of the signal chain, which is what I would prefer to do, because I can pan them to each side and put one out of phase so it sounds like a JC120. But if I do that, the expression pedal doesn't work right, and I want to use the expression pedal in the HX effects. So there's something wonky about this, and I do have it updated. Aside from this one scribble strip not working right, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be able to handle these things, which is legitimately what it is designed for, but it doesn't. So I'm finding the HX effects is pretty wonky. In any case, so what I did to offset that in the Zoia is, instead of starting with the lowest octave, I moved everything up one octave except for the upper fifth. Instead of going up to the third octave, I dropped it down to the first octave. Yeah, I dropped it down to the first octave. So the lowest signal coming out of this thing at this point is not going to be as low as it was. So I don't have to worry about that mud. Now, it's easy for me between the night Night Sky and the Volante to clean those effects up because I've got low cuts on both of them. But you still want to try and fix it at the source. So again, that's similar to gain stage, and you have to look at EQ at all your stages. So this little thing I had going on with the Zoia forced me to kind of reevaluate where I was trying to fix things. So instead of trying to fix them after the fact, which didn't work, I tried fixing it at the source. And as you can hear, this loop I made is a little busy, but I think in a general way, the one other thing I did was on the output of the sound on sound loops, I had them taken out for a short bit there, but then it got a little sparse. Is I lowered the connection strength out of those sound on sound loops to the output. So they're still hitting the loopers at full volume. It's just the connection between the sound on sound loops and the output are reduced to about 50%. Because if I keep them at 100%, you start to lose what the loopers are doing in the mix. So I'm just trying to fix it at the Zoia here. Okay, so that's that. Zoia's back, thank goodness, because I didn't want to lose it, and I didn't really feel like spending money on something else. Okay, now let's get the Volante in. So what I've got here on the Volante is I'm running it at half speed on the drum setting, which is the Echo Rec, with a lot of the low end cut out, as well as a little bit of wear, little bit of mechanics, and some a little bit higher on the record level, and then I have it set somewhere between the golden ratio and the silver ratio. Oh, there's one of those low end things that just came in. But it's not too big as it was. It was blowing up my EQs before. Just it's real nice. Does that Echo Rec thing. Right now I'm not using any spring. Hang on, I'm going to mute this and see if I can mess with that spring reverb. So part of the reason I wanted to do this is I'm leaving this loop running to see if it ends up getting out of control. Because what I did is I set up tap tempo on the two delays that are feeding the outputs, so I can sync them up, which is what I just did. It sounds like it's getting a little thick, to be honest. You can see the waveform here, though it doesn't look too crazy, but it sounds like it's getting a little thick. Now the other thing I can do is I can attach this tap tempo to the LFOs controlling the loopers. So I could ultimately control I could ultimately sync up the loopers at the tempo I want. Do I want to do that or not? I don't know, but that's something I've been thinking about doing. Okay, so that's the I keep wanting to call it the Echo Rec. That's the Volante. All my signals look good at a glance. Again, this is my first playthrough. I just finished setting it up this way, but so far it seems to be working. Let's add in the drums and bass. Seems good. I'm a little worried about this sound on sound loop. Okay though. Gotta be careful with the Zoia. The Zoia is a GIGO device, which means if you put garbage into it, you're gonna get garbage out of it. And I joke about blowing up the universe, but you can literally blow up the universe if you're not paying attention on a recursive loop like this. So you gotta be real careful. Okay, so let's just cut that out for the moment. Aside from the sound on sound loops and everything, the signal is just getting passed from the inputs to outputs on it, so turning it off isn't going to change things too much. Okay, Night Sky. So as you can hear, the Night Sky is cool. The Halo core is cool too. They kind of ride that space in between a delay and reverb, which is for me is good because I'm really not a fan of reverb. I always try and use it thinking I'm playing ambient spacey stuff, like I gotta have a reverb, right? Well, no you don't. But this is where the Night Sky is the best for my setting, is the sparse reverb on it. Let me see if I can solo this up a little bit. It's just like a couple bouncy reflections, and it just works perfect. There's some shimmer in there. There's some modulated filtering going on there. There's some light reflections. It works perfect. And then of course you blend in the regular signal. Which is great. Okay, so after that, in the effects loop, 1, 2, 3 is Zoia, Volante, Night Sky. We're coming back in to the Ajax effects, and the next thing it hits is the particle verb. The particle verb's there again more for flavor. Rather than some big reverb, it's really just doing some weird noises in the background. I have the mix down super low on it. Every once in a while you're going to hear weird noises coming out of it. I think this the Volante is a little present now. I can offset those transients from the delay repeats by putting more wear in. But I don't want to do that because you lose a little bit of that airy kind of 3D-ness of the Volante if you do that, so probably just back this off a little bit. There we go, a little better. Okay, and then I'm just hitting the trem, optical trem at the end, which kind of brings back another kind of facet of nice life to it. So there we go. The Zoia forced me to rethink everything yet again, but I'm achieving everything I want to. One is using the platform with an input from stereo. The Nano Cortex is at the end. The Nano Cortex is right after the reactive low box, because that's just my IR. And now that I'm coming out of it in stereo, I can use all of the different stereo effects in there. And by the way, I should note on the Nano Cortex, I can do the pitch pitch transposition. Which is pretty cool. But in any case, let's just do a little jam here, see what we get. I've got this loop has been running for a while, so let's just do a jam. All right, there you go. Kind of a crap show of a jam, but all this stuff is pretty cool. I could mess with that for a long time. I'll eventually get it right? If I'm goofing around with it, but like all of the sounds are making sense. It all fits together. It's not some crazy intense cacophony. I'm finding that with a sound on sound loop, you're tempted to pump all this information into it, but really just like 3 notes, maybe 4 notes, and then let it do its thing is about all you need. I'm out of real estate, which is not a bad thing. The big one that I really wanted to fix, that is fixed, is the compression. I really wanted that pedal 76 to work, so I hope whatever was causing that noise doesn't resurface, because that is the compression I want to use. Now I do want to get the OB1 back in here. I really like the 1176 into an optical compressor, but I'm not in a hurry. This is pretty damn good. Yep, loving it. I could sit and groove to this all day long. So thank goodness the Zoia is working. HX Effects is a little wonky, but again, that's part of learning any effect is, they all have their thing, you know what I mean? There's always something going on there. So yeah, it's all good. Just don't use the EQs and HX Effects for whatever reason. They suck. Or at least, like, it's not even that they suck, they just didn't work. That's worse than sucking. Sucking sometimes is good. You can get something that sounds terrible and, maybe find a use for it. But in this case, the EQ just didn't work, and maybe there's too much information coming into the HX Effects. I don't know. But in any case, there you go. Back from the ashes, the Zoia and the Pedal 76 and the Trio. Those were the 3 that have been wild cards for me lately. It actually brought the Volante back, which is a very cool thing. But there you go. Until next time.